Okay, our first speaker is Saskia. Megan's let her sister down. Saskia is going to be presenting fundraising and community group solutions. Thanks very much, Saskia.
Thank you, Joy, and thank you to AWL Queensland for putting on this inspiring and interesting conference. Megan unfortunately has gastro and I've got a rotten cold, so forgive my spluttering and coughing as I go. She'll be back on board for the workshop tomorrow, however, which is good news. If you are a rescue or shelter volunteer, the following description might sound familiar. It's 9:45 on a Sunday night. Your new foster carer has just called to say their first rescue dog has jumped the fence and would you help look for him? The apparently perfect cat adopter has left an irate message that Puss has done some enthusiastic claw sharpening on her Chesterfield and she wants her gone by morning. You're perpetually exhausted, permanently broke, your family is ready to leave if you bring home one more rescue pet, and you haven't had 8 hours straight sleep since 1996. So all things considered, you'd be forgiven if fundraising and how to excel at it is the last thing on your mind. Welcome to our crash course on fundraising for volunteer-run rescue groups and small shelters who do not have the resources to hire qualified fundraising staff, unlike their larger animal welfare counterparts. However, the principles we're about to discuss also apply to all not-for-profits. The good news for the small groups present is that you can compete with the big guys. Yeah.
It's not working.
No.
He's just shifting something over. Just hold on. Just hold on. He's just working down the back on something. There we go. Thank you.
We are hugely excited by fundraising opportunities for you because the more successful your group is, the more pets are saved. Every fundraising opportunity is ultimately another life-saving opportunity. Every marketing opportunity is ultimately another life-saving opportunity. And every media opportunity is another life-saving opportunity. Embrace them as you can. Fundraising seems hard not because people aren't generous. It seems hard because too many groups don't understand it, don't spend the required time learning about it, don't see it as a core responsibility or a great opportunity, and don't assign the tasks and responsibilities intelligently. So how much time should you put into fundraising and community relations? The same amount of time you put into direct service delivery and governance. It is that important. And the time you need to put into fundraising and community relations needs to start with educating yourselves. Think of all the experiences and learnings that put you into the position of understanding companion animals and their plight and how all these inform your daily work. You need to gain fundraising experiences and learnings as well. If you are scared, don't be. It is no more scary than a child being frightened of a dog. It just takes time, familiarity and small steps. There is much good news to share. Fundraising in the 21st century for small groups can be genuinely fun and fulfilling. So here is a quick snapshot of what you should focus on when it comes to the F word and the whole wheel of community relations that it belongs to, and we'll be able to expand on all this in our workshop tomorrow. Size does matter. Firstly, there are plenty of donors these days who don't want to give to a large animal welfare group or shelter. They want to help the little guys who they trust will spend the money directly on the need and less on associated expenses such as high wages for the top brass. You are sexy. I was told this at a Fundraising Institute of Australia conference a couple of years ago. Animal welfare groups possess the most enviable and easiest marketing opportunity of any not-for-profit group. Other charities envy animal welfare groups like yours hugely because animal welfare is considered to have the X factor. It is one of the few attractive not-for-profit causes there is. You have the ability to use vision of cute puppies and kittens and feel-good stories of the three-legged dog overcoming the odds. We all know that images like these tug on the heartstrings, and that in turn helps loosen donors' purse strings. So in terms of the marketability of your cause, you've got it made. First things first, if you're running a rescue group or a small shelter, you cannot also be responsible for fundraising and community relations. It's just too much. Even fundraising for a small group can be a 100-hour-a-week job if you let it. So every rescue group needs two things: a fundraising committee of volleys to take on the various roles required, and groups of family and friends willing to fundraise on your behalf, such as their schools, service clubs like Rotary and workplaces. Where do you get the right people for your committee from? Good volleys may seem hard to find, but the key is to simply start asking and keep asking. On Facebook, on your website, in your newsletter. Talk to your existing supporters, find out their life experiences. They may have untold talents to offer you, but you won't know what they are unless you ask for help. Your next adopter could be a retired manager with time on her hands. Your next foster carer might be a successful tradie with good social networks wanting to give back. If you still come up empty-handed, ask your local paper to run a story about your group's needs. Most communities or councils also have a body that showcases all the local volunteering opportunities. List your group with them. People walk in wanting to volunteer for something and find you. In addition, a good resource for both not-for-profit employees and volunteers is the job search website, ethicaljobs.com.au, where you can actually advertise volunteer positions to those looking to help, as well as paid positions. Once you've appointed your fundraising manager, get them to elect other volleys to smaller roles underneath them. For example, at the very least, a coordinator each for media, events, merchandise, business sponsorship, and a donor coordinator who manages your address book or database and who issues thank you letters and receipts. Let your fundraising manager be responsible for creative big picture research and planning, and make sure the time-consuming and disciplined admin tasks are taken care of by someone who genuinely enjoys them. And yes, there are those strange people out there. They're worth their weight in gold. Remember to thank them, and thank them again. Even if your fundraisers come up with ideas that sound wacky to you, listen first before putting them in the ideas for the future basket. The last thing you want to do is to stifle the creativity of your fundraisers. Also remember, you're not necessarily the best judge of what will or won't work in fundraising. Be prepared to take risks. You might not like the idea of beer stubby holders with your logo all over them, but your supporters might go nuts for them. Know thy donors. Animal lovers are known to be a generous lot, and increasingly so as they get older. That's where the baby boomers come in, and why you need to pay special attention to them right now. Born from 46 to 64, they're now aged between 47 and 65. They're the wealthiest generation thus far, and we must pay very close attention to all the 50-plussers. Baby boomer donors tend to give to causes of personal significance. I give because I want to. They might choose one charity only to give larger amounts to, unlike their parents who gave small amounts to many. They tend to be higher maintenance donors than their parents were, with higher standards regarding customer service and how their dollar is spent. Never send a letter to a baby boomer with their name misspelt. How do you communicate effectively with boomers? The most important thing you have to prove to them is that their support will make a difference. A boomer wants to see a clear need and the opportunity to give to something special. They want to see their donation will have a definite local impact, and that their funds will be spent wisely and not frittered away on admin expenses or company cars. Boomers also like to feel connected to the cause. They like to know they're dealing with real people. Encourage them to connect with other donors and supporters on Facebook at events. Involve them in online discussions. Pose questions on your Facebook page. Ask them what they think. The main reason, however, you should be wooing the boomers is that they are at a time of life when they start thinking about their mortality. They're very likely to be drafting a will. More on bequests shortly. Other general donor rules, regardless of the age of your supporters. Donors, not donations. You're in the business of saving lives. You also need to be in the business of creating relationships with your supporters, not just collecting their money. Think about how to engage with them as soon as they emerge. Once you've succeeded in wooing a new donor, retention of each and every one is very important. Think of each of them as a possible 6-figure bequestor one day. Let your donors bond with you and be accessible to them. Have a dedicated volunteer call and thank every donor who gives over a certain amount, for example, over $100, and then follow up with a thank you letter also. The rule should be the higher the gift, the more time spent thanking them and the more times you should thank them. A very large donation from a generous donor should also solicit a second thank you letter and a report or phone call a month later to update them on the marvellous benefits their funds brought to your rescue pets. Keep your adopters engaged. One of the most important donor groups you should do your utmost to stay in touch with and continue to woo is your adopters. Apart from the animals themselves, it is this group who benefits the most from your life-saving work. Make sure every adopter's details are handed to the fundraising committee so they're included in any emails or physical group handouts. So mail-outs your group sends out to do with upcoming events or appeals. Ask them to help other rescue dogs or cats just like the one they adopted. Reporting back. Receipts and thank you letters should be sent promptly, preferably before supporters forget they donated at all. Harness the warm glow while they still have it. It makes people more likely to give again. When saying thank you, list the specific differences your donation will make. Use phrases like, with your support, your donation will, with your generosity, we can achieve. Don't talk about how great your group is, talk about what great help the donor is in helping your rescue pets. Give now. If you can't find a volunteer to deal exclusively with issuing receipts and thank you letters ASAP, the best thing is to register with givenow.com.au, the commission-free online donation service run by the Our Community Foundation. Give PayPal a miss, they charge fees that really add up and deplete the value of your donations. On your behalf, Give Now can take credit card donations 24/7 and issue automatic thank yous and tax-deductible receipts if your charity has DGR. With a few clicks of the mouse, donors can make a one-off donation or set up a recurring donation. You can list the donation link to Give Now on your own website so supporters can travel straight there to donate to you. Why should a donor choose you? A fundraising study was undertaken where the participants were asked to make a donation of any size to just one organisation, and then they were asked what the main reason was they chose that group. The overwhelming answer was surprising in that it was not to do with a particular cause or social problem. The answer was they chose that group because they respected the staff or volunteers leading the organisation. And if anyone wonders who they are, it's a photo of the Microsoft staff in 1978. So a key question for all groups is, what do your supporters think of the leadership at your organisation? What happens when a supporter interacts with you, whether they are a donor, volunteer or adopter? Each time they communicate with you, their perception of your group will either go up or down. Think about how to ensure the interaction is always a positive one. Communicate. If you have a volley who is away with words, have them produce an online printed or emailed newsletter for supporters. You probably already have a lot of these happening. Always make sure it's supporter-centred and filled with positive news and stories. Don't print pictures showing your president being handed a human-sized cheque. Share news about everything good and positive the group has been able to do and use the message, this happened because of you. Show donors proof that the problems you've talked to them about are being solved. It will inspire your supporters to give more and give again. Bequests. It is a financial gift made to a charity in the will of an individual that is donated to the group after their death. Bequests today are the biggest area of opportunity charities should be focusing on due to our rapidly ageing population. It is where most charities get their most money now. It needs to be your mission to let your supporters know they can donate to you by bequest. Some of you will have seen in the Melbourne media recently the story of just one supporter who left the Lost Dogs Home a bequest of $3 million. Imagine what a rescue group could do with that sort of money. Imagine what you could do with even a tenth of that. Do have a look at website, include a charity.com.au. You can register your charity with this website and potential bequesters can find and contact you directly from there. It was launched a couple of years ago. A bequest program is not hard to initiate. It can be as big and impressive as having your own flashy bequest booklet and a dedicated bequest coordinator, or simply a link on your website describing how to make a bequest in a few paragraphs. The most important thing is to keep reminding your supporters that they can make a bequest. Fundraising is often most successful when it is repetitive. Remind them in your newsletter, on your Facebook page and at events. Keep repeating the message. 10 golden rules of fundraising. Number 1, keep it simple and small. Don't talk to your supporters about big problems or big numbers. People aren't inspired to give to large problems because it all sounds too hard. But donors are definitely motivated to give to small problems they feel are actually solvable. An example is telling your supporters it just costs $1 to feed a homeless rescue dog in our care per day. That is much more likely to be effective than talking about the huge numbers of homeless pets needing your help and how terrible your society is to allow that to happen, as donors often don't have the time or energy to hear about all the complex and negative issues surrounding your cause. So tell your donors the problem you need their help with has a solution. You actively close the door on giving, approaching your donors any other way. Utilise emotion. Donors give for emotional reasons, whether or not it's rational. A few years ago, an example, the American Coast Guard winched to safety a group of sailors from a stranded boat in the ocean, but left their dog behind. The Coast Guard refused to go back for the dog, citing costs, but then the media got onto it, and the result was a massive public outcry that went on for days until the Coast Guard was forced to go back for the four-legged. The news story ran for a total of 24 days, including post-rescue stories about this one dog. In that same 24 days, more than 500,000 children died of starvation, but there was no media or public firestorm about that. The lesson here is not that people care more about dogs than kids, but that we as people respond to the meaning in one story of one child, one dog, one problem. Your message, getting it right positively. When you ask your supporters for money, it's important you talk about the urgency and the need, but the scenario you present should also have the possibility of hope firmly attached to it, the difference a donation will make. For example, a state RSPCA fundraiser described at a seminar we attended that when she first joined the charity some years ago in her state, they ran 5 direct mail appeals per year, and direct mail are the physical appeal letters charities post out to their supporters. Each of those 5 mail-outs described cruelty cases and included horrible colour images of abused animals. The new fundraiser, however, rightly realised that using a very negative message about fundraising almost shames donors into donating. It can actually make them feel resentful about giving. What should be even more concerning is that there is evidence that publicising cruelty cases can actually discourage people from adopting. The good news is you don't need to promote cruelty to get your supporters to care. The new RS fundraiser felt this was the case, so she decided to conduct an experiment. She sent out 2 direct mail appeals to 2 separate groups of donors containing different stories. The first was a cruelty case using unpleasant images. It brought back just over $216,000. Not a bad result. However, the second appeal letter she sent out was written from the point of view of an older dog called Lana, who had been recently surrendered to the shelter because her owners were having a baby. No unpleasant pictures were used, and the text was emotional and engaging, written in Lana's voice. This letter raised over $455,000. So that's more than twice the income of the cruelty story letter. When thank you letters were mailed to donors, it included the good news that Lana had been rehomed, which demonstrated their generosity was helping achieve a happy ending for Lana and other pets like her, and it inspired donors to give again. Now, I'm well aware that many groups are unlikely to be able to fund a huge direct mail appeal like that, but the moral of the story is that trying a new positive angle in fundraising appeals, whether it be on your Facebook page or website, and focusing on the hopeful story of just one pet can pay off heavily. Number 4, become a media tart. The saying, all publicity is good publicity, is pretty much true. For those of you who attended the last conference, Mike Arms emphasised how vital it was to utilise local, state and even national media for your cause at every opportunity. Have your media coordinator monitor papers, radio and TV daily to see which journos tend to present the animal reports and approach those people directly when you have an idea for a story. It doesn't even have to be a truly remarkable animal tale. Any unusual or interesting story that can combine vision of a cute or photogenic animal will interest the public. And think outside the square. Mike Arms again told us of a 9-year-old dog who came into his shelter and gave birth to 8 pups. Fairly unusual. So after talking to local media, they ran a story titled 63-year-old gives birth to octuplets. They got a huge amount of interest and all pups were instantly adopted, as was the mum. Infrequent events. From the cake stall to the gala dinner, rescue groups traditionally rely on events as a hopeful generator of income, but you also know that they require their own upfront financial outlay, untold hours of your volunteers' time, and the end result doesn't always justify the effort. As tempting as they are, we encourage you not to put too much effort into events. A couple a year is more than enough, 1 is fine, 3 is probably pushing your luck. Remember that your supporters are busy people just like you, and event fatigue can sink in. Don't overload your supporters with requests to turn out. The other golden rule with events is that people will go to an event that they will enjoy, not just because they support your cause. So think outside the square if you're going to hold an event. Don't hold one more doggy walk day or film night just because it worked last time. Make them as unique and fun as you can. Research what other animal welfare groups are doing overseas and interstate that worked for them. Don't be afraid to get in touch and ask them for advice. They might be happy to share some tips. Also check out what other charity sectors are doing to fundraise. For example, World Vision, the Cancer Council. Use them as inspiration for your own fundraising ideas. Well-managed events are not just an opportunity for your group to generate funds and make new friends. Their most powerful aspect is as a springboard for deeper relationships that can bring in larger donations. At an event, a supporter may part with just a few dollars. However, the ongoing relationship between both of you after the event is what might bring you the major gift, sponsorship deal or bequest in the thousands. And the weeks following the event are the most critical of all. You need to follow up and report back, thank people, give them the good news about how the money was raised on the day, keep them engaged. Get your supporters to do the hard work for you. We all know that young people often want to physically do something for their favourite cause these days. They don't just want to give you a credit card number. So this is a huge fundraising growth area you all need to be on top of. The RSPCA New South Wales came up with the original Cupcake Day idea. They realised that holding the Million Paws Walk cost a lot to produce. So they came up with the idea that supporters bake cupcakes, take them to work or school to sell, and then send the RS the money. The media loved it, the public loved it, and some people even dressed up as dogs to sell their cupcakes. They made $1.1 million on that one day. Now, all state RSs are running annual cupcake days, with staff having to do virtually nothing on the actual day. So the moral of the story is to make your donors fundraise for you whenever you can. Many utilise the website everydayhero.com.au to create their personal fundraising page, and I'm sure many of you are already familiar with Everyday Hero. Make giving as easy as possible. Your online donation page should take 2 clicks at the most for a supporter to make a donation. Don't lose donors by making things time-consuming for them. Consider signing up to Give Now if you don't already have a system for tax receipts and thank you letters. Don't be shy. Don't equate fundraising with begging. Ask yourself this: are the big charities backward and forward to ask for assistance? Of course they're not. Do they have big flashing donate now signs on their websites? Absolutely. That's because it works. Again, you have to be in it to win it. AWL Queensland's website has a great example of a prominent fundraising ask, which is really good to see. We have donate now on the top right in the bone, and we have it again in the red box. Giving is good for people. Research shows that you do supporters a favour by taking their money from them. The role of the warm glow has been scientifically proven. Regular donors are healthier. People who give have a better self-image, a better feeling of control in the world. Donors tend to be happier. It feels good when you're doing your bit. Giving raises consciousness. Those that give understand the world better. They feel more connected and knowledgeable. Lastly, love thy volleys. Whether it's Kat on your cake stall, Greg writing grant applications, or Betty spruiking for bequests, without your volleys, many groups would not exist. Yes, they can be pesky and sometimes even certifiable, but you can't live without them, and nor can your bank account. pat them on the back as often as you can. They really do deserve it. So to summarise, the secret behind the transformation for fundraising fear to fundraising effervescence is to start to see fundraising as part of the spectrum of engaging people in your extraordinarily important and satisfying work. Moreover, you will inspire others to help you and your group change the world for the better of the animals. Our cause is too important to not get it right. I hope this brief 101 was helpful. We could talk about fundraising until the dogs, cats and cows come home, and we'll be doing so in greater detail in our workshop tomorrow. We're also available to hold free fundraising workshops Australia-wide for rescue groups and shelters if anyone wants to talk to us about putting together a custom-made day or half day spent with you and your volunteers, focusing on the particular areas you most need help with, whether it's grants, bequests, media, etc. We'll leave you with just one of the best not-for-profit resources Australia has on offer, and we recommend you thoroughly explore the site, and it is community.com.au. Once you're there, choose the Community Resources link. This section provides free help sheets, services, newsletters, books and training opportunities to help community groups improve their fundraising abilities and become healthier and more viable. Thank you for listening, and keep up your wonderful work.